His younger son, Quietus, had led the aged emperor and his army into a trap and then abandoned them. Ballista, belly to the ground, furious in his abasement, thought of the repulsive youth Quietus, by now safely back in the Roman city of Samosata, and he repeated to himself a vow he had made twice before. One day, maybe not soon, but one day I will kill you. Shapur caracoled his mount, its hooves plunging and stamping dangerously close to the elderly man on the ground. Then the Sassanid king of kings paced his horse along the line of his own courtiers, noblemen, and priests, and rode away, laughing. Slowly, heavily, Valerian began to get to his feet. The butts of spears, freely wielded, encouraged the Comites Augusti to do the same. As he hauled himself up, Ballista looked at the Sassanid courtiers. There, prominent among the priests, was the Persian youth whom Ballista had known as Bagoas when the boy had been his slave. How the wheel of fortune turns. Was the youth smiling at him behind that black beard? The sight of Bagoas turned Ballista's thoughts to his familia. Had his ex-slaves Calgacus, Maximus, and Demetrius made it to safety? Were they now also safe in Samosata? Or were they already on the road to Antioch? Antioch, where Ballista's 2 young sons and wife waited, all unaware. The pain of thinking of them was almost unbearable. Ballista spoke in his heart to the high god of his northern youth. All-Father, Death-Blinder, Deep Hood, Fulfiller of Desire, Woden-born as I am, hear my prayer. I will give whatever is necessary, do whatever it takes, but let me return to them. Return to them, whatever the cost. Part 1. Captivus. The East. Spring to summer AD 260. What is it like to lose one's native land? Is it a grievous loss? Euripides, Phoenici, 387-8. 1. Maximus lay motionless watching the Persians. They were in front of and below him, towards the middle of the small upland meadow where 3 paths came together. They were not above 40 paces away. He could see them clearly. In the pale moonlight, men and horses were solid, dark gray silhouettes. There were 21 Sassanid cavalrymen. Maximus had counted them several times. The Sassanids were confident. They had dismounted and were talking quietly. They were unavoidably in the way. Maximus raised his eyes to check the position of the sickle-shaped, 3-night-old moon. There was not much of the night left. With northern Mesopotamia overrun with Persian patrols, Maximus and the others had to be safe behind the walls of Zeugma by dawn. There was no time to retrace their steps, or to cast about for another path which ran east-west through the high country. If the Persians did not move on within half an hour, the Romans would have to try and fight their way through. It did not promise well. They were outnumbered 3-1. Demetrius had never been much of a one in a fight, and old Calgacus was wounded. Sure, but it did not promise well at all. Moving slowly, hardly moving his head a fraction, Maximus looked over at Calgacus. The old Caledonian was lying on his left side, favoring his bandaged right arm. His great domed, balding skull blended well with the white rocks. Maximus was fond of Calgacus. They had been together a long time, 19 years since Maximus had been bought in as a slave bodyguard to the familia of Ballista. Of course, Calgacus had been with Ballista since the latter's childhood among the Angles of Germania. Calgacus was a sound man. Maximus was fond of him, although not as fond as he would be of a good hunting dog. Maximus studied his companion, the dark lines of his wrinkled forehead and the black pools of his sunken cheeks. Truth be told, Maximus was worried. Sure, Calgacus